Welcome, guys. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves, who you are, where you're based, and exactly what you do in the sound industry.
We are EarCandy. We are a post-production sound company in Los Angeles. We primarily, almost exclusively, do feature films, the sound for feature films. We are the editorial side of it. We supervise the Foley. We supervise the ADR. We cut the Foley and the ADR, and then we supervise the overall mix for the feature film that we're working on.
So, Scott, you do sound design. What does that entail?
Depending on the film, it would either be sort of intensive sound effects, hard effects that are, that are required to complete a scene, or it might be something more subjective, score-esque, if you will, to evoke a mood or an emotion, or any combination in between.
Mostly the big stuff.
The noisy stuff.
Not necessarily the noisy stuff, because a lot of times it's the tension-building sound that's underneath a film. Very much like when we did Open Range, he took care of most of the guns. Same thing with the Rambo films. He does the guns with that. In Halloween or something, the breathing of Michael Myers or something
Really?
like that. Yeah, that was him.
Nice.
That was me and a Starbucks coffee cup and some napkins, actually. Is what
Awesome.
that breathing
Awesome.
came from. Yes.
Oh, you're giving away your secrets now.
Yeah.
Coffee.
Coffee makes the world go round, but sometimes it helps in sound effects as well.
Yeah. So,
See, the kids think it's all about computers.
Yeah, well.
Sometimes it's the simplest things.
Yeah.
Perry, you kind of get tasked with the rest of the responsibilities and stuff. So you said BGs and Foley. What does that mean to people who don't know?
We have people that go in the studio and recreate every footstep, every movement, every plate set down, every gun set down. Every time somebody does this,
The cloth movement.
the
sound of
cloth movement,
Yeah.
that right there. So you have to make things so that people feel like they're in the environment that they are and just not on a sound stage of someplace.
Almost all of the sound in a film has been recreated and reproduced, and we have the tools now that anything on the screen that moves can get a very detailed sound. And so we have to be careful while we're sure to present a cohesive, filled soundtrack. Really, we've done our job well if the person thinks that the microphone captured all the sound. I mean, the trick is then to make it sound very natural and really just almost invisible. All of our sounds should, except for the obvious ones, should just sort of blend. My stuff should sort of blend into the background and just become secondary and very realistic behind the dialogue and support it, so that it just kind of blends into the background and supports the story that we're trying to convey.
So you guys have won a couple of awards and been nominated for some awards. Does it feel good to be recognized by your peers in the industry for something like that?
Being recognized for your work is always a wonderful thing, especially when it's from someone you've worked with, someone that you learned from. When they recognize your work, your peers recognize your work, and you win some sort of an award from your peers. It's you're on cloud nine. It's a wonderful thing. And for me, when I go see a movie that some of my peers have done and the work is really stellar, it's very inspiring, and it just pushes us, I think, to try harder and to do a better job. And we kind of push each other, and hopefully the film industry benefits from.
I think it's a friendly competition when you when you get to the level that we're at.
Mm-hmm.
I make a point of, when I go see a movie and it really rocks my boat, that I will call them up. It doesn't matter who they are. And in fact, on District 9, I called the guys that had done all the alien voices and stuff. I stopped in the middle of the movie. I didn't call New Zealand, but I emailed him, and I said, this is the most inventive thing I've heard, as far as like alien voices and things like that, in years. I said, you guys did an awesome job. I'm really proud of you.
I think we earned the respect of our peers from sort of the move we made by going out on our own and not really realizing it at the time, but sort of like diving into this new way of working, this new business model with a much lower overhead, fewer guys doing more of the work. I mean, we wear all the hats that a whole crew of guys would have done a few years ago. Literally 10 years ago, a film like Rambo would have required a crew of 40, 50 people to do, and we did the last Rambo with maybe 6 people, 7 people, the whole thing. And so we really make every effort we can to do our best, to put our best foot forward, even if it's at our loss, even if we're going to, end up losing, money or whatever. To us, the more important thing is that our client is happy and they're going to come back to us again or recommend us to someone else. Because I think when we talk to your students, that's one of the biggest things we could offer up was that, you never know who's going to be watching, you never know who's going to be on the receiving end of your work. In my experience, your best break comes from things that you never thought they would, or connections or influences or conversations that you never thought would amount to anything.
So Scott, you mentioned students. You guys have been here for a week now doing workshops with our students. So how has that gone? What have you found that what have you liked about it?
Well, first of all, I mean, it's absolutely wonderful to have a resource like your school to go to get a sense of how this all works and what to expect. The resources that you guys have here are some of the best we've ever seen in terms of what a school might have to offer. I guess we're what you call experts in the sound field, right? So
you might be.
As a student here, I mean, it's great that you would have guys, who have been entrenched in whatever industry you're interested in, come up here and speak to the students. And it really helps to make that connection, and I think it really helps to give you the tools to go out there and make your way in your career and then survive in that career. And I think a lot of the students, I would imagine we'll be hearing from some of them, which,
Sure.
As a student is awesome to have a connection with someone who's, again, been in the trenches and have a connection and someone to talk to or ask a question to, which we're very open to. So it's been a great experience looking at it from our point of view and putting myself in the students' point of view. Wonderful, wonderful thing.
Well, great, guys. Thanks for sharing your time with us today, and also thanks for coming up and joining us here at VFS for the last week.
It's a pleasure,
Sure.
man. It was a blast.
It was really fun.
We had a great
time. Thank you for treating us so well.